Hey, what's going on, everybody? So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about my top 10 running backs for the 2020 NFL fantasy football season. This list is subject to change if players get traded or something happens in the offseason or during training camp. The same goes for my quarterback list. It might change in like July and August. I might switch up a few players if something's happening in the offseason or in training camp. Let's get right into it. At number 10, I have KENYAN Drake of the Cardinals. So now, recently in the offseason, they added wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins and offensive tackle Joshua Jones, who was drafted in the third round. Joshua Jones was like a first-round talent, but he won in the third round, so it was pretty much a steal. KENYAN Drake, he averaged 5.2 yards per carry with the Cardinals last season, which is some of the top yards per carry in the entire league. The offensive scheme is definitely going to help KENYAN Drake. He used to be part of the Dolphins with Adam Gase, was a terrible coach, and then he got away from that system, so now he's with a much better system with Cliff Kingsbury. KENYAN Drake is a great receiving back, so he should be the three-down back for the team. Last season on the Cardinals, he had games where he had 80% snap count, 85% snap count, 68%, and 75%, so he's going to definitely get the majority of the workload. He's easily worth a top 20 pick in season long on best of all drafts. At number 9, I have Nick Chubb. He finished second in rushing yards in 2019. He's also a great receiving back. Now there's an improved O-line with the additions of Jedrick Wills and Jack Conklin. Jedrick Wills is the first-round pick from Alabama. They added Jack Conklin in the offseason. Browns do have one of the easiest schedules in the 2020 season. That's going to just give more work to Nick Chubb. They're going to be upping games, most likely, so they're just going to be feeding Chubb. The Browns will be a rush-first offense with new head coach Kevin Stefanski. He came from the Vikings, who had great success with DALVIN Cook last year, so I just seen them running the ball, giving it to Chubb. They also do have Kareem Hunt, but I think Kareem Hunt's going to be playing more third downs. He's also going to be catching more passes than Nick Chubb, which kind of lowers Nick Chubb's upside. But I still do see him finishing as at least a top 10 back. Nick Chubb averaged 5.1 yards per carry his last two seasons. He had 8 touchdowns in both seasons. I would expect him to have 10-plus touchdowns this upcoming season with offense being really improved. Okay, number 8, I have Miles Sanders. I'm expecting a massive breakout year in 2020 as long as these Eagles don't sign anyone. They have a top 3 offensive line in the league. Miles Sanders is an elite pass catcher. He runs a lot of wheel routes, catches a lot of screen passes. He's a great back. He can be a 3-down back on the Eagles. I hope he is a 3-down back. The thing is, the head coach does like to run a running back by committee, so we might see the Eagles sign someone. If that happens, then I will have to lower Miles Sanders on my rankings. Miles Sanders did publicly state on Twitter he's super confident, he's ready to be the lead back for the Eagles. And once again, if the Eagles do sign another running back, then it will hurt Sanders' ceiling, which is a little bit worrisome. Number 7, I have Joe Mixon of the Cincinnati Bengals. He's one of the few 3-down backs in the NFL. His backup is Giovanni Bernard, and he's getting up there in age, so he's not really going to play that much. I do see Mixon being a 3-down back. The offense is going to be much more improved, obviously, with the addition of Joe Burrow. They have A.J. Green still there. They have Tyler Boyd. They added T. Higgins. They also are getting Jonah Williams, who was their first-round pick last year, but he was injured the majority of last season, so he's finally coming. He's going to be healthy. Mixon is a great receiving back. He caught over 75% of his passes each season in the NFL, which is really impressive. A contract extension is in the works. There has been talks about him holding out, which is kind of scary, but I do think they're going to get an extension done. The defenses in the division are some of the best in the NFL. You got the Steelers, you got the Ravens, and the Browns' defense is also pretty good, which is kind of scary, but I still do see Mixon having a lot of success next season. Next up, I got Derrick Henry. He led the league in rushing in 2019. He had 300 rushing attempts for over 1,500 yards. He had 16 rushing touchdowns, and he averaged 102.7 yards per game and also 5.1 yards per carry in 2019. Pretty much the entire offense does rely on Derrick Henry. They just feed him. I expect more of the same from Henry. There could be some touchdown regression. He might not score as many touchdowns, but I still do see him having a great year. They did lose offensive tackle Jack Conklin, but they did add first-round pick offensive tackle Isaiah Wilson from Georgia, so he's probably just going to slide right in. But I still see Wilson being a pretty good replacement. Derrick Henry does have a limited pass-catching role, which limits his ceiling. I do believe there's going to be extra motivation, though, for Derrick Henry because he recently got franchise tag for 1 year. So this upcoming season, once he's a free agent again, he's going to want to get paid. So he's got to ball out this season. Next up, I have Alvin Kamara. He averages for his career 5 yards per carry. They do have a top 5 offensive line in the league. And now they also added first-round pick offensive lineman Cesar Ruiz from Michigan. Injuries did hurt Kamara last season, but I think he's going to come back stronger and better. If you guys have seen his workouts on social media, they're pretty insane. He has a lot of balance workouts, so I definitely think he's going to get into even better shape. I see a massive also bounce back year incoming. this upcoming season. I do expect higher scoring games within the division with the Bucks. They added Tom Brady, and then you got the Panthers, who are going to have really good offense, pretty bad defense. You got the Falcons, same thing. They're going to have a really good offense and a pretty bad defense. Also, Alvin Kamara is probably one of the top 3 best pass catching running backs in the league. At number 4, I have Dalvin Cook. He's an elite pass catching running back. He cut over 80% of the targets thrown his way the last 2 seasons. And I think he's going to be more involved this upcoming season because they traded away Stephon Diggs, who was number 1 receiver. So I definitely see Dalvin Cook more involved in the passing game. They still do have offensive coordinator Gary Kubiak. Gary Kubiak has worked with running backs like Terrell Davis, Clinton Portis, and Arian Foster, who are all great running backs. The Vikings are going to be a run-first team with Gary Kubiak as their offensive coordinator. Dalvin Cook did have injuries early in his career. Last season, he was pretty much able to stay healthy the entire year. He got injured like week 16. He missed 1 game. He came back in the playoffs, and he scored 2 touchdowns, had almost 100 yards. So as long as he stays healthy, he's going to be a top 5 back. Number 3, I have Ezekiel Elliott. He's one of the few running backs that has an elite workload. He's a 3-down back for the Dallas Cowboys. He's one of the most consistent running backs in the league, as you can see down below his stats. His rookie season, he had over 1,600 yards. He had 15 touchdowns that year. Last season, he had over 1,300 yards with 12 touchdowns. I see this offense being even better. Last year, they were a top 5 offense. This year, I expect also, again, to be top 5, maybe top 3. They got new head coach Mike McCarthy. They also added stud wide receiver CeeDee Lamb in the draft. He was their first-round pick. A lot of people had him as their best receiver in the entire draft. The Dallas Cowboys do have the 3rd easiest schedule in 2020. So you can just see Zeke getting a bunch of touches. They're just going to feed him, put away games with him. The Dallas Cowboys do have a top 5 offensive line, but they did lose center Travis Frederick, who's one of the best centers in the league. They replaced him. They drafted Tyler Biadasz. He's a center out of Wisconsin. But they got him like the 5th round, so he's probably not going to start right away. But I still do see the offensive line being top 10, probably top 5 again. At number 2, I have Saquon Barkley. His career average is 4.8 yards per carry. He also catches over 70% of the passes thrown his way. I do expect over 350 touches this upcoming season. He could be the RB1 as long as he stays healthy. Last season he got hurt. He sprained his ankle. He missed a few games. He never really recovered from it. Now he's fully healthy. He's ready to get back to it. He had over 2,000 scrimmage yards in his rookie season. There are a lot of offensive weapons on the Giants. You got wide receiver Golden Tate. You got Darius Slayton. You got tight end Evan Ingram. You also got wide receiver Sterling Shepard. They improved the O-line. They drafted left tackle Andrew Thomas. So yeah, as long as Saquon Barkley stays healthy, I do expect him to have another great year. He's easily going to be a top 3 back as long as he's healthy. The division isn't even that strong. The defenses in the division are pretty weak, so I do expect him to pop off. Number 1, of course, I have Christian McCaffrey. He's the best running back in the league. He had over 400 touches in 2019. His last 2 years, he caught over 80% of the passes thrown his way. He's probably the best receiving back in the league. He's pretty much a running back and a receiver. There were a lot of explosive weapons on the offense, so I do expect that offense to be a lot better. They obviously added Teddy Bridgewater. He's a check-down quarterback. He loves to just dump it down to the running back. They have a wide receiver, Robbie Anderson. They have Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore. They also have tight end Ian Thomas. I could see another 2,000 scrimmage yard season for Christian McCaffrey. The division is tough for now. I do expect a lot of high-scoring games in the division, so I do have Christian McCaffrey as my number 1 running back this upcoming season. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe and comment down below.